Good evening, dear professors, dear teachers, and research scholars. Warm welcome to you once again. Today we are actually planning to deal with two different aspects. One is learning how to do binary logistic regression, and the other is how the interpretation is to be made when we are having data on multiple regression. These are the two important goals in mind when I start today's session. Okay. Beginning with I would like to speak to you about binary logistic regression. First of all, I would like to tell you exactly how or when this binary logistic regression is being applied. That is the first thing. That is the first thing to be done by us. Only then we can understand where it can be applied. Okay, we have already studied multiple regression and simple regression. In case of multiple regression, the most important requirements are the dependent as well as independent dependence must be metric in nature. That when we say about in our language, there should be some sort of scale data for doing multiple regression as well as simple regression if we are going for linear regression. And at the same time, normality, heteroscedasticity, and such other things are there. These are important issues while dealing with regression analysis, and a researcher may not be in a position to satisfy all these conditions. And at the same time, something may be very important. So there is an option that I have promised to you in the initial session that I will definitely teach you binary logistic regression. I consider this as a very interesting, very important, as well as very useful statistical tool for studying the dependence without having the problems of normality, heteroscedasticity, and the nature of the variables. I feel this is very, very important, highly useful. So first of all, we are dealing with, I would like to tell you when binary logistic regression method is suitable in a research. Actually, this binary logistic regression method is suitable, or it is possible when the outcomes of a dependent variable can be of two different types. Outcomes of a dependent variable or the options of a dependent variable can be of two different types. That is, can be classified into success or failure or something else. The first thing is that the dependent variable the variable should be, or the dependent variable should have two different options only. I will tell you something more about this. And another thing is that the dependent binary variable is coded with values 0 and 1. So for example, when the outcome of a particular variable is classified into two different things, that is success or failure, or sometimes it may be yes or no, sometimes it may be men and women and so on. So for example, when you ask a question regarding gender, normally men and women is included. But you remember, my dear friends, now the researchers are including something else along with the gender. And that definitely will create some sort of problems. We know that the other third category is comparatively insignificant, and the number of such people may be very little when you take a sample of 1,000 or 800. And such a classification may create some sort of problems in making analysis. So be very careful under such circumstances. Whatever be, when a variable can have two different answers, like yes, no, success or failure, or purchase or not purchase, recommend or not recommend, and so on. Such kind of a variable will be the dependent variable. And the dependent variable, the options for dependent variables are coded with 0 and 1. That is all. That is a must. 0 and 1. You always remember. And also remember, the assignment of codes must be noted by you as a researcher, because it is very important at the time of making interpretation. So for example, if you are giving 1 for yes and 0 for no, you should remember for which one is assigned and for which one 0 is assigned. That should be noted by you very carefully. Otherwise, it will create some problems at the time of making interpretations using binary logistic regression method. Okay, that's very, very important. Okay. Again, coming to the dependent variable. The dependent variable may represent characteristics like male, female, married, single. These are characteristics. Sometimes the dependent variable in our study may be a characteristic like female, male, female, that is gender. Then marital status, like married, single, and so on. Sometimes the same thing may be outcomes or events like success or failure, purchase or not purchase, single service provider or multiple service provider. These are different instances which can be incorporated in a research instrument for making application for binary logistic regression. Always remember, you must have questions like this. When we are making research instruments, we usually go for big scales. Even if there are big scales, some dichotomous questions are there, like purchase or not purchase, recommend or not recommend, then single service provider or multiple service provider, remain with the organization or go to some other organizations, like depending on the situation in which you are actually doing research. If some questions must be there, then only we can go for binary logistic regression. You always remember, sometimes after collecting data using extraordinary scales, you might have taken sample from 500 or 600 or 700 or 1000 samples for your study with very good scales. You may not achieve a good result due to so many conditions like normality, heteroscedasticity, and so on. Under all such circumstances, you may be able to come up with good results if you have these kinds of questions. Remember, if our dependent variable is gender, imagine if our dependent variable is gender, either male or female can be given 1 or assigned with the value of 1. Male can be given 1 or female can be given, not both. If male is given 1, female should be given 0. If female is given 1, male should be given 0. Suppose if male is assigned 1, sorry, if female is assigned 1 and male is coded with 0. While entering the data in your computer, in your SPSS, you are coded male with 1, female with 1, male with 0. The coefficient would reflect the impact of independent variables on the likelihood of the person being female. That is always analyzed on the basis of or focusing the item which is coded as 1. Say, for example, if you are studying about a particular phenomenon, like the gender of a customer with relation to any other aspect, say, for example, loyalty or customer commitment and so on. Gender is taken as the dependent variable, and at the end point of time, you have to interpret the coefficient. And that coefficient is interpreted from the point of view of the item which is coded as 1. If you have assigned 1 for female, then the finding will be with respect to female. And if the dependent variable represents the event or outcomes, like buy or not buy, satisfied or not satisfied, refer or not refer, good performance or poor performance, and so on. Good performance or poor performance, and so on. My dear friends, you think about this. Begin from satisfied to not satisfied. Say, for example, if you being a researcher want to assess the satisfaction level of customers, say for example, if you are conducting a study of the customers of a banking company or customers of insurance companies or customers of car making companies and so on. If you want to assess or measure the level of satisfaction, all of you know that there are some extraordinarily good scales for measuring satisfaction. Well accepted scales are there for measuring satisfaction. Even if you are applying a scale for measuring satisfaction, you can ask a simple question. Express whether you are satisfied with the products and services of this company, and give an option yes, not, or sure, not sure. This is a case of only one question, single question. But if you want to measure the satisfaction, level of satisfaction, you need a methodology for that. You need a long list of statements for that. But if you are applying this, and if you are able to do a logistic regression, then it will give better results than the results generated by a scale. That is the advantage. Okay. Say another one is refer or not refer. You know that many of you are actually conducting study with respect to or in the field of readiness of the customers to express word of mouth, that is positive word of mouth regarding the service provider. For that, different scales are there. At the end of the instrument, you can add or in the instrument you can add a question: will you be ready to refer the product or refer the company to your close relatives? You can give option refer or not refer, or yes or not, or sure and not sure, and so on. Then you can go what all factors actually influence this answering. That is, if you are giving refer, one for refer, and a test is being conducted, you will be able to say what all independent factors actually influence this answer, that is refer or yes. Okay, so that's a wonderful tool. Okay, again, coming to the same thing, that is dependent variable represents events or outcomes like buy or not buy, satisfied or not satisfied, refer or not refer, good performance or bad performance. So if satisfied is coded with 1 and not satisfied with 0, the coefficients, after doing all analysis, you get a coefficient, and that coefficient will represent the impact on satisfaction, impact of the independent variables on satisfaction. So the selection of independent variable is very important. Okay, say for example, while doing a study in your research instrument, if there is a question, say for example, if you are conducting a study, or your student is conducting a study about a car company, that is distribution company, car distribution company. Suppose if there is a question, will you be ready to buy from the same dealer if you plan to upgrade your car in future? Will you be ready to buy from the same dealer if you plan to upgrade your car in future? This is a question, and the options given are sure and not sure. Sure and not sure. All of you, please, listening to me, please think about it. How this question will be useful in a study about the brand equity and customer repurchase intention of a branded car dealer in India. This can be a study, that is brand equity and the customer repurchase intention of a branded car dealer in India. Here the brand equity simply refers to the brand equity of the car as well as the car dealer. Car dealer is also another company. Okay. What are the topics here? Brand equity and customer repurchase intention. And look at the question. Is it actually related to brand equity or related to the repurchase intention. If the customer plan to upgrade the car in future, will he be ready to buy the same from the same dealer? Definitely, this is actually related to repurchase intention. If this is the study, we may have an objective. That is to identify how far brand equity of the dealer influence the customer repurchase intention. Okay, this is the way in which we are actually making objectives. To identify the role of brand equity on customer repurchase intention. If this is the case, you take both of them are separate variables. Brand equity is one variable. Customer repurchase intention is another variable. According to the research methodology of commerce as well as management, we can have two different scales for both these, that is brand equity as well as customer repurchase intention. Instead of going for a scale, a well-developed scale for customer repurchase intention, you can use this simple question for representing customer repurchase intention. That is, customer repurchase intention can be assessed simply by asking a question like this. You believe it? This is possible. In place of this simple question, you can go for a scale. If both of them, and at the same time, you have well-developed scales for brand equity. For measuring brand equity, we have n number of scales. Ready-made scales are available. So if you have a scale for a brand equity, measuring brand equity, and a customer repurchase intention is assessed on the basis of this question. According to the theory, it says that higher the level of brand equity of a product or a seller, whatever it be, more will be the customer repurchase intention, or better will be the customer repurchase intention. That means when the perceived brand equity of a particular product in the mind of a customer is high, he or she tempt to repurchase from the same seller. That is a theory. Suppose if you want to test it with a special reference to a car dealer in India, so that you have a scale for brand equity that is an independent variable, and you have a question like this, that is, will you be ready to buy from the same dealer if you plan to upgrade your car in future? That is coded given two options are given, sure and not sure. This becomes the dependent variable. That is, the customer repurchase intention here is dependent variable, and it has only two options. So naturally, it's a categorical variable. That is a nominal variable. So dependent variable in a binary logistic regression method, the dependent variable can be a nominal variable with the two options. When you have more than two options, you can't apply binary logistic regression. You have to go for some other methods. There are methods. Okay, so here is the advantage. With a simple question, with a nominal data, categorical variable, you can adapt it as a dependent variable, and the level of dependence of repurchase intention can be assessed by doing a binary logistic regression method. Okay, so all of you have to think. You should have basic understanding about all these methods, and at the same time, you imagine some questions, some cases where you will be able to apply this kind of a technique in your research. Say if you are trying to establish a relationship between two complex things, and if one is not normal, you know that dependent variable cannot be normal. So in that place, you can come up with a question like this, and you do binary logistic regression, and and excellent results can be produced. That's what I'm telling you. Whatever be your specialization for research, whatever be your interesting area for research, or whatever be the area of research in your mind, you try to dream something where you can apply different advanced tools. That is important. Then some doubts will come into your mind. Automatically, you will refer some standard textbooks. So automatically, you will see some good studies. Then you will be able to identify the places where you will be able to fit models like this. This kind of a mental exercise is very much essential for everyone doing research. This can be beautifully done. I definitely will show you exactly how good results can be produced out of a simple question. Okay. So, what are the requirements for binary logistic regression method? I already told you we need a dependent variable, and the answers to the options for the dependent variable can be classified into two categories. That already told it to you. And what about independent variables? And also, I have also told you this dependent variable is a categorical variable, nominal variable. That is the most important advantage. Very simple variable. And about independent variables, what should be the nature? It can be metric, it can be non-metric, it can be categorical, and so on. Whatever it be, there is no problem. That means you can have a combination of all. That is scale data, categorical data, and so on. You can put all of them together. That is the advantage. And about normality and heteroscedasticity, these are not at all a requirement for binary logistic regression. Only thing is that you should have the imaginative power to find a place or find a spot for asking questions which are highly relevant. Okay, that is very, very important. All researchers or all those who want to publish in good journals, you please identify some research areas, and you start thinking about yourself, what could be done? What should be the objective? If I have this objective, how should I achieve it? What kind of questions are to be asked? For that, you have to read exceptionally good articles, works of classical writers or top-class writers must be read by all researchers. Then you will be able to identify what all methods can be applied. Okay, normality is not a requirement, is a great advantage for binary logistic regression. Okay. Actually, binary logistic regression is applying a logistic curve instead of normal curve. All of us are familiar with normal curve. Okay, but here, for the application of binary logistic regression, we are applying logistic curve. Have you ever heard about logistic curve? We are actually not learning this logistic curve in our curriculum, through our curriculum, because it is not at all included in our syllabus. These are advanced statistics. So normally These are not expected to be learned by students in classroom. So we are not teaching them. So naturally, there is a possibility for not listening to or not hearing about such things. Let me explain exactly what is this logistic curve. We know that our dependent variable is binary. It can take only 1 and 0 values. I have already told you. And hence the predicted probability value can fall within the same range of 0 and 1. Fall within the range of 0 and 1. Since there are only 2 variables, you know that you are actually familiar with, all of you are familiar with a variable where the options are, where there are only 2 options or 2 possibilities. The outcomes are classified into 2 different categories. In quantitative techniques, we are learning. What is it? We are actually learning binomial distribution, where the outcomes can be classified into 2 different categories. So similar is the case here. We are actually applying a distribution like a binomial distribution. Since it follows, also since it has only 2 options, the probability usually ranges in between 0 and 1. The logistic regression actually uses logistic curve for representing the relationship between dependent and independent variable. For representing the relationship between dependent and independent variable, a logistic regression using logistic curve. Still, there remains a question: what is this logistic curve and how it look like? Okay. At very low levels of independent variable, the probability approaches 0, but it never reaches 0. This is very important. You please read this very carefully, and I will again and again explain what is actually written. At very low levels of independent variable, the probability approaches 0, but never reaches 0. At very low levels of independent variable means what? That is the chance of happening, when the chance of happening independent variable is little. When it is going down, the probability approaches 0. But it cannot cross 0. Because you remember, there are only 2 variables or 2 options, 2 outcomes, where the probability will be almost 50-50. So how is it possible for a particular variable, the probability of a particular variable to reach 0? And you remember about binomial distribution. A distribution is considered as binomial distribution when the probability for the success and failure is approximately equal. One cannot be very much lower than that of the other. That is the condition for binomial. Similar is the case here. Okay, so when at very lower levels of independent variable means when the chance of independent variable is less, the probability approaches 0. Chance of independent variable means we have a dependent variable also. We are considering the independent and dependent variable together at a particular reference point of independent variable. If the chance is less, or if the level of independent variable is less, then the probability reaches 0, but it cannot cross 0. Similarly, when independent variable increases, the predicted values increases up the curve. But after some time, the slope actually starts decreasing or declining. The nature of the slope is not exact. After a particular point of time, the slope starts decreasing What is the logic behind that? There are only two possible options, and the probability of both the options are almost similar. So how is it possible to have a very high probability for one variable? That is not possible. Okay, that is the logic behind that. So the when the probability of independent variables reaches may go down when the chance is less, but it cannot go up to 0. If it is going up, when the chance of an independent variable is going up, or the possibility of occurrence of independent variable increases, it may go up through the curve, but it cannot go beyond 1, because the 1 is the end point, 0 is the beginning point, and 1 is the end point, and the probabilities cannot cross both these limits. That is the lower point and upper point. Lower point is 0 and upper point is 1. The probability cannot go beyond these two. That means, you remember always, in a logistic curve, the probability or the chance of an independent variable in terms with the dependent variable cannot go below 1 or below 0 and above 1. There is a technical explanation for that. That is, the error term for the discrete variable follows binomial distribution. The error term of the discrete variable, we simply refers to the difference between actual and prediction. We have a predicted value as per the model, and we have original collected data. The difference between the actual and the prediction, that is what is known as error. The error term of the discrete variable, we call it as discrete because there are only two outcomes here: yes or no, or success or failure, male or female. Okay, so the discrete variable follows binomial distribution. See, think about binomial distribution. You have studied about binomial distribution. You are teaching about binomial distribution. All my dear friends must have good understanding about all statistical distributions, almost all statistical distributions, especially normal distribution, binomial distribution, and Poisson distribution. Okay, so the binomial distribution, there are, in case of binomial distribution, there are only two possible outcomes of a random experiment, and the possibility or the probability of occurring a particular outcome is almost equivalent to that of not occurring. Since the error term of the discrete variable follows binomial distribution, normality assumption is not at all required. That is not possible. That is not possible. That's why we say that it cannot cross 1. It cannot go below 0. So normality assumption cannot be applicable here. And variance of a dichotomous variable is not constant. It cannot be constant, creating instances of heteroscedasticity. So you don't want to worry about heteroscedasticity also. But in case of linear regression, heteroscedasticity is a very important problem. Very important problem, challenging problem. These normality and heteroscedasticity are the two important conditions, two important troubles faced by the researchers. You don't want to worry about both these. These are great advantages. Okay, so see, can have a look at this. This is actually a scanned copy taken from a book which I have already suggested to you. That is Hare, Black, Babin, and so on. See this. Look at it and see what I have said. What I said to you. The line is an S-shaped line. Logistic curve is an S-shaped line. You know, a binomial distribution, if you put another part of this S, it will become a normal distribution. But you remember this, the probability may reach we are actually making this curve based on the level of independent variable and the probability of the of an event in dependent variable. At what level of independent variable the dependent variable happens? That is the issue. Okay, you remember at what level of independent variable the dependent variable happens. That is, S is 1. At what point of time? At what point of independent variable S is S is occurring more? That is the issue here. I have already told you when at higher levels of independent variable, this is the lower level of independent variable, and this is the higher level of, that is the right side is the higher level of independent variable. The probabilities increases when the higher level of at the higher level of independent variable, the probabilities increases, but after a particular point of time the slope declines. So see here the slope is upward rising, but after a particular point of time it became flat. It will stop here. It cannot go beyond this level. This is the point where we reached 1. Probability of dependent probability happening, dependent event reaches 1 at this particular point of time. It cannot since it is sloping down, it cannot cross this dotted line. That's why I told you it cannot go beyond 1. Okay, so we are moving again. Binary logistic regression derives its name from the logic transformation. Logic transformation. For each observation, the logistic regression technique predicts a probability value between 0 and 1. I have already told you. Plotting the predicted values for all values of the independent variable generates an S-shaped curve, which we have seen. What we are actually expected to do, if we are doing this particular exercise manually, what we are to do? We are to plot all values of the independent variables. If you have a predicted values of all values of independent variables, the curve becomes an S-shaped curve. Finally, if the predicted probability is greater than 0.5, not 0.5, it's 0.5. If the predicted probability is greater than 0.5, then the prediction is that outcome is 1. We have only 2 outcomes, that is 1 and 0. If the probability finally we arrived at is greater than 0.5, then the outcome is 1. That is happening an event. 1 refers to happening an event, or buy a product, or female, and the like. Otherwise, the outcome is predicted to be 0. That means if the probability you are getting at the end is less than 0.5, then the outcome is predicted to be 0. 0 means what? 0 actually represents the second option of the dependent variable. That is, if the first option is buy, that is represented by 1, then second option will be not buy. If the first option is refer, second option is not refer. First, okay, that's the case. You have to incorporate the examples I have already told it to you with this. Then only you will be able to understand. Simply by hearing this will not help you to understand properly. Okay, this 0.5 you should remember. This is very important. You have to remember about this 0.5, not 0.05. Why this 0.5? Why I am saying about 0.5? That is a big question that may be asked. Because there are we believe that if there are only 2 options for a particular dependent variable, only 2 options, then the total probability 1 is divided into 2 different parts, that is 0.5 and 0.5. That is the logic. Nothing more. Don't worry about anything else regarding this 0.5. Since there are only 2 outcomes, for each outcome is having equal probability. All the outcomes, that both the outcomes have equal probability. That's why I tell you the probability is the cutoff point is 0.5. Okay. While doing binary logistic regression, there are some basic requirements. Here also some requirements are there, but not so serious. But requirements are requirements. Always remember. Correlation between the dependent variables and independent variables should be strong. There is some slight missing there in the first box, that is correlation between dependent and independent variables. So for example, there is one dependent variable, and if there are 3 independent variables, then all the independent variables must be correlated with this dependent variable. That's what. All the independent variables used for the model of study should be correlated with the dependent variable. And at the same time, correlation between the independent variables should be weak. There should be weak correlation between the independent variables. But if we are going for other methods, the correlation between the independent variable is a requirement. But here it is, we need a weak correlation between the independent variables, but we need a strong correlation between independent and dependent variable. This must be remembered. Okay. Okay. Let us take, before going for analysis in our SPSS, I would like to introduce a real research case which we are actually going to discuss. The first thing is the blue shade, that is the case I'm explaining. What is the research problem here? A marketing manager working with a motor company, motor car dealer, want to predict the chance of buying a car by a customer or by a person who is visiting the showroom. For that, he has some information regarding the past customers. Whenever the customers are dealing with the representatives or visiting the showroom, the marketing manager records some information regarding the customers. What we want to predict, we want to of buying a car. Of buying a car. So dependent variable is whether buy or not buy. Whether a customer, whether a person coming to the showroom inquiring about the car, inquiring about the car will make a buy, or buy a car or not buy a car, or purchase the car or not purchase the car. We want to predict the probability. When you want to predict the probability, though, this is the dependent variable. When you want to make an assessment regarding the probability of buying, you need some other information. Say, for example, if the marketing manager is having some information regarding the past behavior of the past customers or past inquirers. Okay, one question they have, one information was, one element he has considered is, do the customer inquired about different details about the car? He has information regarding, he has a record of statistical record of this particular aspect. Whenever a particular person comes and inquire about a product, is he very interested in asking numerous questions about the car? If he has asked the number of questions, it is put as or recorded as yes. On the other hand, if it is considered as no. Say, actually, what is the logic behind a question like this? Because who is actually making a large number of questions? A person who is coming to, or people who are coming to a car dealer, who is actually making a large number of questions about different features of the product, mileage of the product, the warranty, the insurance, the facilities. And if people who are actively or very much interested in the car or very much interested in the dealer alone will ask a large number of details. That's why a simple question like this is put. You always remember this is actually independent variable. So you don't want to have a question with 2 options only. You can have 4 or 5 options, no problem at all. Here I have put in 2 option question, but you can have a number of options since this is an independent variable. We need a dependent variable with the 2 options. Independent variables can have any number of options, no problem at all. I have only 2 options. And do the customer has made arrangements for loan? When you want to purchase a costly product, you need a loan. Sometimes you, almost all, more than 90% of the people buying car are purchasing it on the basis of loan. If the person who is coming or approaching a dealer, if he is having made some arrangements for loans, there is a tendency for making purchase. Otherwise, the chance for purchase is less. So we have given yes, that is made arrangements for loan is yes, that is put in as 1, and not made arrangements for loan, that is put in as 0. Okay. So even though we are asking a very simple question like this, behind this, there is a logic. Okay. This is a real marketing question. And a third variable, I have 3 independent variables. One is, do the customer inquired about different details about a car? Then do the customer has made arrangements for loan? Then the third is, how much money is available with the customer for initial payment? That's also very important, very, very important. How much money is available with the car for initial payment? The customer is expected to make an initial payment while making purchase. Normally, 100% of the cost of the car may not be funded by the banker. It may be possible, definitely. Even then, having some money with the buyer for making an initial payment is a trigger motivating the customer to make a purchase. That's why this variable is put in. And you remember, the actual amount available with the customer for purchasing or for making initial payment is counted as an independent variable. The original figures are written here. So it becomes a scale data or a metric data. It becomes a metric data. So I have a dependent variable with the 2 options, buy or not buy. Buy is coded with 1 and not buy is coded with 0. 3 independent variables. First 2 independent variables are categorical variables, 1 and 0. You can give 1 or 2, no problem at all. But while giving or while coding the dependent variable, you always remember 1 and 0 must be given. 1 and if you are giving 1 and 2, you will not get a result. That is important. Okay. And this is the advantage of binary logistic regression. Independent variables can be, if you have some well-developed scales for measuring something, that can be used as independent variables if it is possible, if it is logically connected. I shall tell you or show you how the excellent scales can be used along with this kind of questions. Okay. Okay. Now we are moving on with a real example. Okay. We are moving for the same issue. Okay. See the variable view. See this. This is the variable view of my data set, which I have already introduced it to you. This buy is, you can see the label also. Then you will be able to understand more precisely whether purchase. What are the options? Options are 0 no, 1 yes. Okay. Then how much money is available for initial payment, initial on payment? I haven't given any option here because it is the actual amount available with the customer, with the customer is to be recorded. So don't want to put any value there. The original values will be fed. And another is whether the customer thoroughly inquired about different aspects about the customer. Whether the customer has thoroughly inquired about different aspects of the customer. Options are yes, no. Then is the potential customer is confident about the availability of the loan? Then yes is given 1 and no is given 0. You remember buy here, the variable buy, that is whether purchased, that is the dependent variable, and independent variables are how much money is available, whether thoroughly inquired about the product, is the potential customer is confident about the availability of loan. These are the independent variables. So we can start with the analysis. Going to the data view, you see I have taken only 30 samples, 30 samples only. But you remember, I have limited this 30 samples because it is very difficult to construct or make data sets for these kinds of exercises. Very difficult, should be well planned. You should have a thorough understanding about the theory of the statistical tool we are actually studying. So I have limited with 30. But you remember, and for getting a good result, I have limited the options. The independent options of the independent variables are put in as yes or no, because when I am putting it in a 5-point scale or 4-point scale, definitely I have to increase my sample size. So when the sub-classifications or sub-samples in the independent variable increases, you have to have more sample size. Sample size requirement is very important. Okay, so we are moving on. First of all, the first thing is that we have to check the correlation. Okay, remember, I have already told you what should be the criteria for correlation. All independent variables must be correlated with, or must have a comparatively higher level of correlation with the dependent variable. But the correlation between the independent variables should be low. Correlation between the independent variables should be low, but all independent variables should have high degree of correlation with the dependent variable. Okay, let's check first the correlation. Okay, going to analyze. Since we want to calculate correlation, you come to correlation and then go to bivariate. Okay, all the variables are here. Okay, we don't want to apply Pearson's correlation because we are not dealing with normal data, not dealing with scale data. So Pearson is not required. We are actually going for Spearman's correlation. Remember, this is very important. Spearman correlation. So give the data, the variable should be put in to the variable box. All the variables, simply put all the variables in the variable box, then give OK. We can see whether purchase, this column and this row are one and the same. You see all the correlations 0.472, 0.512, 0.325, all these are comparatively big. That is the correlation between the dependent and independent variable is comparatively high. But you look here correlation is 0.11, 0.08, 0.11, 0.08 and so on. So the correlation between the independent variables is comparatively less. No, we can't see very high correlation between independent variables, but there is good correlation between the dependent and all independent variables. So the data is actually suitable for binary logistic regression. Okay, that is the case. So moving on, again, data set. We are to do the analyze, go to regression. You come to binary logistic. Okay, here, just below the partial least squares, come to binary logistic. Click it. First of all, you give by. Okay. Then click all these. Okay. All the independent variables, the covariates are taken here. Then go for categorical. Put all categorical variables here. We have 3 variables here. Out of the 3 variables, we have 2 categorical variables. That is nominal in nature. Okay, put them here. That is loan and enquired. You don't want to put money into the categorical variables because it is a scale data. Don't want to do that. So first of all, you once again click the first one, that is loan, and click first. That is loan, the variable loan, whether the customer is made arrangements for loan is to be considered first. We are giving priority. These are actually considered one by one. First priority is given to loan. Okay. Then you click enquire the other variable. Then you click change. Okay. Then continue. And then you go to options. Options. We need a very important test here. Postmer-Lemon-Shaw goodness of it. This is considered to be a very important, powerful test for logistic regression is concerned. Okay, continue. You always remember the method should be enter. You don't want to change it. You give OK. Okay. You will get a number of boxes, but only some of them are interesting for us. Only some of them. Very few are actually interesting to us. You don't want to look at the initial one. Okay. These are actually the categorical variable codings. See the first one, block 0, beginning block. Block 0, beginning block. This is actually a test conducted with no independent variable. We have taken into account only whether purchased or not. Here, whether purchased or not, yes. This is actually like a chi-square test. See, this is actually predicted and this is actually observed. Observed means as per our data, original data, and predicted means as per the as per the probability generated by the system itself. So you don't want to, you just take this 76.7. This is the percentage, overall percentage is 76.7. This is the initial percentage. We are testing whether this percentage is going to increase. In the subsequent test, since we haven't considered independent variables, when we add independent variables, this percentage must improve. Otherwise, no relationship between dependent and independent variable can be established. So the next one is very important, that is variables in the equation table. Here you have to see this Wald statistics. Wald statistics like Z, T, like that. Wald is the statistic applicable for logistic regression, a very important statistical tool. Significance value is 0.006. So this is significant. That means this finding is actually significant. This model is actually significant. And variables not included in the equation. In the first case, I have already told you, we have taken into account only dependent variable here, and this is significant. It can predict 76.7% times correct. Prediction and observation are compared, and the system says that 76.7% times the prediction is correct. Okay. So, and the result is significant. The significance value is 0.006. Wald statistics is 7.594. Okay. See, you don't want to look at the variables not in the equation. All independent variables will be there. Okay. Then block 1. Block 1 means we are taking into account the independent variables also. independent variables also. Chi-square values are given. Degree of the significance value, this is not a computed significance value. This is a stated significance value. So we have to look at this. That is the Cox and Snell R square, Nagelkar R square. You are familiar with R square in multiple regression and other linear regression. What R square actually tells? Actually, R square tells the degree of influence of independent variables on the dependent variable. Say, for example, if R square is 64.8% or 0.648, that means 64.8% change in the dependent variable can be predicted with the help of the independent variables. Okay, but you remember, in case of logistic regression, we are not calculating original R square. Instead, we have two different R squares, that is Cox and Snell R square, Nagelkar R square. The computation procedure is completely different. So in statistics, we call both of them as pseudo R square, not exactly R square, pseudo R square. Oh, how we can use this? This is also a very useful statistic. Cox-Snell R square is the minimum R square and Nagelkar R square is the maximum. That means the R square value of this particular dependent independence test is lying in between 0.430 and 0.648. That means this these variables, the variables we have taken into account, the independent variables we have taken into account for the current study can explain variance in the dependent variable up in between 43% to 64.8%. 43% to 64.8%. That means the decision of a customer to buy can be explained in between 43 and 64.8%. So Cox-Snell R is the minimum and Nagelkar R square is the maximum. So original R square will lie in, this is an interval, R square interval. Okay. And this one, you may be knowing Hosmer-Lemonceau test. I have already told you to tick on that, click on that. And this chi-square is, this value is very important. The value here is only 5.654. That means this is highly significant. This value can go above 100. It may be 500 or 400 and so on. Lower the value, better the result. That is the logical reasoning. Lower the value, better the result, or better the strength of the relationship. Here it is only 5.654. And you see this significance is 0.686. You may feel something bad about it. Probability is very high, that is 0.686. We may expect a probability less than 0.05. But you remember, I have told you the required probability is 0.5. Any any probability over and above 0.5 refers means that 1 is significant. One means what? One in our dependent variable, 1 means what? 1 is the chance of buy. So we are able to, this model, since the value is more than, significance value here is more than 0.5, it says that this model can explain the chance of or can help us to predict the chance of buying. This is more than 0.5. This table, you don't want to worry about this table. This is like a table which we are actually making while doing chi-square. Don't want to worry about that. And this table is important. This table, that is classification table, is very important. You look at the overall percentage. Now the overall percentage is 90. 90. See, we have already seen another percentage here. Initially, when we haven't applied any independent variable, the overall percentage was 76.7. when we applied or when we taken into account other independent variables also, that percentage is improved to 90%. That means this these independent variables, including these independent variables, improved the prediction capacity. Okay, now we can see what all are the important significant factors. What all are the significance? As in the case of a least square regression, we have another table, that is variables in the equation. You see, the significance value, the first significance value is 0.03, that is loan. You remember the variable, independent variable, loan. Here you can see one is the item which we have already fed in at the time of proceeding to the analysis. Loan, the significance value loan is less than 0.05. That means the arrangements made for the loan is a significant factor influencing the purchase. Arrangements made for the loan by the customer before approaching a car dealer significantly influence the purchase of a loan. And inquiry, when a person coming to a car dealer is asking so many questions about the product features, warranty, insurance, the price subsidy, and so on. When a person is making a large number of questions, that means he is really interested. Otherwise, he is not at all interested. So that is also significant. And another is money available with the customer for the first payment, down payment, that is found to be greater than 0.05, that is 0.351. That means money available is not a significant factor. See, if you are conducting a study, you have to have some logical reason for this. Why money available with the customer is not a significant factor? Do you know exactly why? Can we suggest something for this? Suppose if a customer is able to buy a car even without a single pie in his pocket, then this factor is not significant. If the financing companies are ready to finance 100% of the cost of the car, no need for advance money with the customer. Okay, this may be the case. This may be the case. So you have to, while reporting this, you have to incorporate these also. You have to give justification for why this is not actually expected. Okay. Okay. So this is about the logistic regression. This is a special case made for logistic regression alone. But I would like to show you one more example from an original data collected for the purpose of a study. Okay, so again, going back to another data set. See, going to the variable view, I shall show you the independent variable. The managers are actually asked to rate the performance of branches of non-banking financing companies. And two options are given. One is poor, 0. 0 is poor and 1 is good. 0 is poor and 1 is good. I want to see whether good performance, what actually influences good performance? This is the real case. You have to think like this. What factors actually influence good performance? For that, we have some independent variables. Let's move. Data view. Okay, go to analyze. You always remember we need to have a correlation analysis, which I have checked so that I am not again going for that. I am straight away going to the regression method. But whenever you make an analysis of or make use of logistic regression, you have to first of all go to correlation. Here I don't want to spare my time. Okay, though binary logistic here. See, my dependent variable, I have already told it to you. It's performance. And independent variable, I have already told you about several times about this study. This is customer centricity. CC refers to customer centricity. Customer centricity actually will improve or will decide the performance, branch level performance of non-banking financing company. That is my argument. For that, I have a scale for customer centricity. I have a scale for business performance. But while doing my analysis, if I find the scale used for business performance is not actually normal, I have an alternative. The performance can be evaluated on the basis of good or bad and the like. And I'm interested in knowing something more. Only I'm not claiming that this performance is actually being influenced by the customer centricity alone. Location can be an important factor. Then number of employees can be, can be 1. Okay, number of employees. So now we have to go to categorical. Okay. Both the categorical variables are put here. That is location and number of employees. Click location, put it as 1, that is first. Then click number of employees and change it. Then continue. Then you go to options. Hosmer Lemon Show goodness of it test is already ticked, so I don't want to do anything. If it is not ticked, you have to click on it. So continue. Then you click OK. You will get the result. You don't want to look at the first 3 tables, beginning with beginning block 0, beginning block. I have already told you here independent variables are not at all considered. Only dependent variable is taken into account. Overall percentage of prediction is 62.5. And it is significant 0.000 with WALD is 22.996. I have already told you WALD is the a statistic which is explaining the significance. Here, this you don't want to worry. Okay, block 1, that is after incorporating the independent variables. Results after incorporating the independent variables. Okay, -2 likelihood is there. Cox-Snell R-square, Nagelkar R-square. What does it indicate? 0.429 and 0.585. What does it indicate? I have already explained. Okay. I have already explained. That is the R-square value ranges in between. R-square value ranges in between 4.429 and 0.585. And Hosmer Lemon Show test, see the significance is just 0.120. Significance is just 0.120. That shows some sort of danger. Okay, some sort of danger. Here you look at the overall percentage. Overall percentage is increased from 62.5% to 85.1%, 81.1%. Okay. So the significance values here, location is not significant, all others are significant, but there is a danger here. This value is not greater than 0.5, not greater than 0.5. So this model, even though it is significant, we have to make some modifications. Okay, that's what I want to show, how you can utilize a test by incorporating a simple question. Okay, so that's all about the binary logistic regression. Now, I have already at the beginning stage, I have already promised it to you to show something regarding the analytical reporting of regression. Okay, see this influence of the components of CRM on customer loyalty. I have 5 different components for CRM, that is trust, bonding, communication, shared value, and empathy. I have an alternative hypothesis, that is customer loyalty of banks. Customer loyalty of banks depends on trust, bonding, communication, shared value, and empathy. This is the alternative hypothesis I have put. Already told you, while going for a regression, first of all, you have to check the pattern. So trust between independent variable and dependent, between each pair of independent and dependent variable, you have to take. So the dependent variable here is loyalty, and independent variable is trust. I have taken this graph. If you look at the plot, you can see the small circles are in both the sides of the straight line, which represents linear line, and it is showing a trend, that is, it shows an upward trend. So the relation between loyalty and trust can be regressed, no problem at all. See this is more evident. Bonding and loyalty, then communication and loyalty, then shared value and loyalty, then empathy and loyalty. See this? This is done for ensuring whether there is heteroscedasticity. No much problem here. Okay, these are the things to be shown in this order. But if you are making a paper, these cannot be made. Sometimes if the journal is a good quality journal, they will ask for the soft copy of all these. Otherwise, they may not ask. Okay, in case of all A category journals, the authorities definitely will ask for the soft copy of the detailed analysis. Okay. See how to interpret. While looking at the plots, it is very clear that there is linear relationship between loyalty and all independent variables, namely trust, bonding, communication, shared value, and empathy. So X1, X2, X3, X4, and the like. And first of all, you have to show the model summary table. I have gone for a stepwise regression model. So first of all, the first model actually takes into account one independent variable which is more powerfully influencing the dependent variable. One independent variable which is more powerfully or most powerfully influencing the dependent variable. So in the first case, R is 0.819 and R square is 0.671. R square 671 means 0.671 means 67.1% of change in customer loyalty can be predicted with the help of model A. Okay, we can see exactly what is actually A. And then when one more variable is added, this R score is increased from 0.671 to 0.734. There is an increase in the R square when one more variable is included. And the model is when in the third stage, the R score is improved to 0.741. There is a slight change. In the fourth case, also a slight change. And in the fifth case, also there is a very little change. But it came up to 0.750. That is very good. That means 75% of the change in the customer loyalty can be expressed or can be explained by the changes in the independent variables like trust, bonding, communication, shared value, and empathy. Okay, that's all. 75%. That's a very interesting finding. You look at the 5 ANOVA, all the 5 ANOVA are significant. That means the last one can be adopted, but these all the 5 can be used for explanatory purposes. Okay, see this? This actually shows what all are actually being taken into account for making a stepwise regression. First one, A, is bonding. That means in the first model, bonding is the most important factor that is actually influencing the customer loyalty, bonding. And the second model, bonding and shared value. That is, these two are shared value is the next important factor after bonding. Then communication is added, empathy is added, and loyalty is, trust is added. Okay, see how it is being reported. Stepwise regression model automatically identifies the most prominent independent variables which influences the dependent variable. Regression model 1 assumes that the level of customer loyalty is dependent on bonding. This is actually not an assumption made by the researcher. Automatically, the system is taking. Model table reveals 67.1% of the variation in the level of loyalty are explained by the component bonding. Remember, see this? See this? 60.671, that is translated to 67.1%. The model summary table reveals that 67.1% of the variations in the level of loyalty are explained by the component bonding. This indicates that from among the 5 components of CRS, bonding between the customer and between the bankers and customers is the most important factor influencing the level of customer loyalty. That is the finding. Bonding is the most important factor influencing the customer loyalty in case of banks. Significance value in ANOVA is 0.000. Okay, that is not exceeding 0.05. So the dependence of customer loyalty on banker customer bonding is significant. And model 2, about model 2, likewise we have to say about all models. All. Okay. See this. See this. See, here you can see the results in 5 models. Let's look at the fifth one. Look at the fifth one here. Beta value is 0.263. It is highly significant. That is bonding. In case of bonding, beta value is 0.263. It is highly significant. Then shared value 0.284. Then communication 0.18. You look at all these significance values, all these significance values. That means this shows that all the components of customer relationship management are highly significant, significantly influencing the customer loyalty. That's what it is here. See this. The coefficients table shows the significance of the various components of CRS to the loyalty of customers. In all the 5 models, the significance values of all the components of CRS are less than 0.05, and hence all the 5 independent variables have significant influence on the customer loyalty of banks in Kerala. This is the way in which you have to write. Okay. And then the multicollinearity of the variables under the study is measured, and the levels and the variance inflation factor are reported. Since the tolerance value is the amount of variance explained by the other independent variables, small tolerance values and high VIF denote high collinearity. A common cutoff threshold is tolerance value minimum 0.1, VIF maximum 10. This should be noted. This should be noted exactly. I will say exactly for what purpose this is actually being applied. When you are going for a linear regression, you have to use all these. I will tell you what is this multicollinearity and so on. Okay. Here, the standard is minimum tolerance level minimum 0.1 and VIF 10. You always remember tolerance value can go up to 1. And there is a relationship between this tolerance and VIF. Okay. The higher value, the maximum value, VIF in maximum value of VIF is actually 10. This is not my opinion. I have already suggested a book. It is given in the book itself. Tolerance value of all independent variables reported are above minimum standard of 0.1. VIF does not exceed maximum seeding prescribed. Hence, the multicollinearity of the independent variable has not influenced the accuracy of regression model. You remember, I would like to tell you something about multicollinearity. Actually, we have an R-square. And R-square says the rate of explanation of independent variable on the dependent variable. And we have heard about the variance. That is also a very important thing. Always remember, when the independent variables, when the correlation between the independent variable is too high or above a prescribed standard, the high level of correlation between the independent variables definitely will improve the R-square or the variance of the dependent variable. That means the reported R-square may be influenced by the correlation between the independent variables. Since we have 5 different independent variables in our study, if the 5 variables, correlation between the 5 variables are very high, that will automatically influence the R square. So the reported R square may not be the original R square. That is the danger. If I say that the R square is, okay, see the R square is 0.750, and if the correlation between the independent variables has inflated this 0.750, what is the utility of this? So in order to check that, we have two different methods, that is two different collinearity statistics, that is tolerance and VIF. VIF is variance inflation factor. Tolerance is tolerance and VIF. These two are collinearity statistics. Actually, we don't want to have both, because both these are always giving similar results. Though, so you can go for either tolerance or variance inflation factor. You don't want to go for both. If are reporting both, then actually a person who knows statistics will not give you an additional point or additional acceptance. So you look at it, the minimum tolerance value is 0.1, and in case of look at the last one. See, look at the first one. When there is only one independent variable, the tolerance is 1, VIF is 1. This is the ideal situation. This is the ideal situation, but this is not possible when we are adding more and more independent variables. When there is in case of a regression where there is only one independent variable, the tolerance and the VIF will be one and the same. That is 1. But when we add more and more independent variables, the tolerance and VIF will start changing. Okay, so this, in the second case, it becomes 0.336 and 0.336. The VIF is 2.978 each. So you can see there is some sort of a relationship between these two. That is the tolerance and VIF. Okay. What is the kind of relationship between these two variables? See, you simply imagine what is the relationship. Actually, this VIF is the reciprocal of tolerance. 1 divided by 0.336 is 2.978. Okay, in all cases. That's why I told you, don't go for both. You need only one. Then you see, when I add more and more variables, you can see the values are decreasing. Here, it was 1, reduced to 0.336. That means the multicollinearity level is increased. This, again, one more variable. When one more variable is included, again, this is decreased. That means the effect of multicollinearity increased. Here it is going up again. Okay. So when we have more and more variables, definitely there is a problem of multicollinearity, but you check the cutoff. That is, you don't allow a variable with tolerance less than 0.1. If it becomes less than 1, the VIF become more than 10. Okay. So don't allow a variable in a regression model with a tolerance less than 0.1. Okay. So since all the variables have tolerance values greater than 0.1, and the tolerance, the VIF values are less than 10, we can simply say that there is no serious issue of multi-collinearity. So you remember, what is this multi-collinearity? Multi-collinearity simply refers to the effect of correlation, intercorrelation, or correlation between independent variables on the dependent variable. The correlation between independent variables may affect the dependent variable or the rate of explanation of dependent variable. That is what is referred to as the multicollinearity. That means when there is high degree of multicollinearity, the reporting capability or the reliability of the R square will be questioned. That is the problem. The reliability of the R square will be questioned. That is a very important problem when we are we cannot accept, or when we can't trust our R square. What is the utility of a regression analysis? No problem at all. No, that is the issue. The entire process of regression analysis becomes useless. Okay, so that's what I would like to share with you today, my dear friends. This is the 8th day. We will move on to the 9th day on Saturday. Remember, all of you, remember, we will move on to the second last session on Saturday. The timing will be informed to you, and by the evening of Sunday, we will finish it. I can see some of around 95 people are still with us, listening to me. Some of them are listening to our video. We have a statistics regarding the listening rate of our videos. Whatever be, even though there are 80 people only in our group at present, I'm so happy that 80 are very promptly listening to me. Actually, we are discussing high value research content, not ordinary. I'm sure I have traveled across India attending so many workshops, conferences, and so on. With all experience, even though as a trainer for SPSS and statistics, this is I don't have much experience. I would say with confidence that I have tried my level best to give you the best, and definitely will come to you with more and more programs. With variety programs we can do. So the objective is to improve the research quality of the teachers and researchers in commerce. Okay, now you can raise your questions and I will be able to answer. Okay, if you have some, if some of you want to raise some questions, you please raise your hands and I can raise the question verbally. No problem at all. Today it is also possible. Since there are only 80 people, 80 or 81 people, we can speak. No problem. I'm so happy to listen to your words. Do please anyone tell me exactly whether you have you got some idea about this particular test which we have discussed today?
Myself, Riya Maman.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Myself,
hello.
Riya Maman.
Okay.
I have a doubt.
No.
Sir, in last part, you have mentioned about the reliability of the test, R square, right?
Yeah.
So whether we have to conduct a reliability analysis again to use this?
No. I mentioned about reliability of R square means the acceptability. Can we trust the R square? When I say the R square of my R square is 0.75, that means I'm saying 75% changes in the dependent variable is being influenced by the movements in independent variables. That is the claim of the researcher. But when the multi-collinearity is high, some part of R square may be contributed due to multicollinearity. That is the high correlation between the independent variables might have influenced. Definitely there is an influence. When we add more and more independent variables, there will be some problems with the R square, but the tolerance level should be kept above 0.1. That is the only one. Okay, Ria.
Oh, sir, should we write all this in our interpretation?
Yeah, this the tolerance must be if you are running a regression and taking the output, you have to show the tolerance or VAF. That's important, because what I want to tell you is, who is actually reading your paper or your thesis? If you are writing a thesis, suppose if the people, 3 adjudicators who are evaluating your thesis are good in statistics, whenever they see a regression model, they will definitely look at this multicollinearity. Or the minimum requirements to be satisfied must be searched. Otherwise, if the people who may be well known but may not be aware about the inner details of statistics, then they will not consider it. If you submit a paper to a journal which is subject to high level of scrutiny, definitely the authors will demand your tolerance level must be reported. That also depends on who actually evaluate. You try to practice good ethical code of conduct. Reporting tolerance is an indicator of high quality of the researcher. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
One
Can
topic
raise
shared in the
questions,
chat box, sir.
please.
Yes, sir. Sir, normally when myself Annie, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Normally, whenever we talk about regression, most of us are familiar with linear regression.
Oh yeah.
Since you have introduced us to a binary logistic regression where we use a nominal scale, why
Oh, yeah.
people are not using this regression that much?
Yeah.
Especially
Okay.
marketing, whenever we ask questions, it is more like yes or no, or as sir said, it is buying or not buying, those questions. But still people are aware about this binary logistics. Why it, sir?
Actually, we can see binary logistics and such other statistical applications only in high-end journals, high-end articles. People, the understanding these is a difficult task. Actually, understanding linear regression is not a difficult task, but practicing or doing a linear regression is a difficult one, because satisfying all conditions is a difficult one. But people do not know exactly what is this binary logistics and logit, probit, and so on. There are so many other regression models. Actually, people do not know. That's why we are not applying frequently. But if you go through some studies of Journal of Marketing, International Journal of Marketing Research, and academic journals, you can't see linear regression models because it is practically difficult. On developed regression models are being used by high-end researchers. Annie, thank you for the question.
Thank
You
sir.
try to understand this binary logistic, you'll be able to publish some good articles, especially
Sure,
in marketing.
Yes,
There is ample opportunity for that.
Sure, sir. Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any question, please? We have only one question in the chat box. So if the participants have some questions, please. Anyone participating in this program, please tell me something about what your level of satisfaction regarding my communication regarding binary logistics. Please speak. Okay, no one is actually responding. Don't worry. My question is, sir, how can we export data from other applications like SPSS, like Excel to SPSS and so on? There are some opportunities, options are there. Even our output can be exported to Word and PPT and so on. Options are there. Definitely in the last session, I will demonstrate how data can be exported to SPSS. Demonstration
sir.
is the only way. Okay. Anybody
Anjali
want to
sir.
speak? Okay.
Sir,
Who is that?
may I, sir, myself, Riya Maman again.
Yeah.
Sir, thank you for teaching us very complex analysis today. Actually, as it is very complex and I am very poor in this particular analysis.
Oh.
Sir.
Okay, speak.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Hello, Riya.
Sir, I want to thank, first of all, for introducing this new area to us. And I personally feel that I have to hear the class 2 or 3 times again and have to work out more problems myself to make make myself more better in this field. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Riya, what you felt is more important because I have read the books dealing with logistic regression more than 100 times. That's why I'm able to speak. Otherwise, I will not speak. Nobody has taught me logistic regression. I have studied it myself. So those who are actually attending this program, try your level best to read and reread. Then only you will be able to understand. Definitely, we will be able to introduce some new topics in our coming sessions, not coming days, coming sessions. Definitely, I will come up with new programs, especially not only the research data analysis, but something like generating a research problem, developing a research instrument, and so on. We can have common discussion forum. Then if you are able to participate, if you are able to come and join with us, definitely we will be able to improve the research capability of all. One more question I have. If VIF is below the threshold, that is actually should be remove the variable. VIF, the maximum VIF is actually 10. Maximum is 10. If it is below 10, that means it is acceptable. If you are asking whether the VIF is going below beyond 10, that particular variable is to be removed. The variable for whom VIF is above 10 is to be removed. That's all. That's the only thing. Not other variables. Okay. Good question. In the last assignment, when one sample KS test has been done, the asymptotic significance came to 0.004, but the statement below the table shows test distribution is normal. What should we infer? Actually, that is the norm. That is the test distribution is normal. Is the alternative hypothesis? Is the null hypothesis? Is the null hypothesis when it is when the value is when the probability value or significance value is less than 0.05, that is actually rejected. Whatever shown in below the table is the null hypothesis. So when it is rejected, that means it is not normal. Okay, there may be there is a common feeling that is the finding of the table, not the finding. It is the null hypothesis. Okay, so we can stop here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank everyone for the active participation. Join with us on Saturday. The timing will be intimated to you within